The Nigerian custodial system. The vulnerable state of released inmates or prisoners. The temptation, resistance, and victory.
It is frustrating seeing all the efforts put into releasing inmates go up in smoke.
Yeah, they come out, sometimes into the cold embrace of a hostile world. Sometimes there is no one to receive them.
These people from counseling suffer stigmatization and difficulty in giving themselves back to life. They suffer stigmatization of rehabilitating themselves into the society from whence they came before the disruption of their lives.
It is the same thing with the survivors of human trafficking and the sexually exploited. They leave the country with the hope of a brighter future, but are brought back shattered, in despair and hopeless.
Whenever human persons, out of greed, selfishness, conceit, decide to make use of others for their own selfish purposes, try to exploit others, then you demean the purpose for which God actually created the human person. And so we need to take it out completely.
So it is a good news to let people know that human trafficking is not a way of life. With all the promises that they, of course, those who involve in it, but at the end of it, they gain nothing.
And even when family members or friends manage to turn up, the journey towards rehabilitation is usually impossible without a skill.
And when there is a skill, there is no support structure, no availability of basic trade equipment, and no money to procure them. It is a near impossible situation for the ex-prisoner. He needs shelter, at least temporarily, and skills to help him or her maneuver a society that has increasingly become a place where dreams come to die.
The Nigerian custodial system as at March 2024. Total inmate population 78,621. Total male inmates 76,854. Total female inmates 1,767. Total convicted inmates 24,444. Convicted male inmates 24,000. Convicted female inmates 444. Total awaiting trial inmates 54,177. Awaiting trial male 52,854. Awaiting trial female 1,323. Crime and other antisocial behaviors are as old as mankind and highlights the point of imperfection of the human species. To promote and ensure social cohesion and balance, the society builds special holding places for those whose conduct and activities threaten societal values.
Globally, we may mention the exception of maybe one country or two like Sweden. It's still acceptable that custodial punishment is one of the ways to deal with crime, especially. Of course, we have the civil offenses, which are not basically crimes, but provide for punishment through keeping the person in correctional custody. Okay, but looking beyond the punishment itself, we look at the place where this punishment is being served. how adequate has our correctional centers or facilities been over the years?
The essence of building prisons or custodial centers is not to destroy those in prisons, but to reform them. Sadly, in spite of efforts by the authorities, only an exceeding small number of those who come out of custodial centers end up redeeming their lives. A much greater percentage continue with lifestyles that take them back into prisons.
The accommodation where they stay, they are made to lie on the bare floor, on mats, and they stay so tight in a cell. Many of them told us that the cells, which should be occupied by 15 to 18 people, have 60 people in them. How reformational in nature can that kind of thing be? So if you look at the practical aspect of it, you will see that it is not reforms, rather it is more of dehumanization.
A defective criminal justice system, an unforgiving, unsympathetic, and fearful citizenry, lack of post-prison opportunities, and absence of adequate opportunities have all combined to work against social reintegration of the formerly incarcerated. The narrative must change. New opportunities for redemption must be embraced. Enter the Justice, Development and Peace Center, Lagos Archdiocese of Catholic Church, JDPC, with an ambition like no other and a vision that is unparalleled. The JDPC intends to build the first truly reformative home, a halfway house for those forgotten by society who once lost their way but are now willing to retrace their steps.
This home is to provide succor and a place where they can find their feet before they are reintegrated into society. The rehab home is to also provide skills. They will be able to acquire skills that will be useful to them in life. A place of shelter, a place to rest, a place to be human beings again. And that is why we are calling on all and sundry to join us, to help us to be able to build this very laudable initiative.
Equipped with over 30 rooms for both male and female, a library for those intent on catching up with the development of the intellect, a fully equipped and functioning workroom for skilled impartation and training.
We know that the work of humanity, the work of bringing about good governance, the work of making sure that the voice of the voiceless is heard, can be quite challenging and daunting. And that's why the fundraising aspect is there.
The JDPC has tried to fill the lacuna left by government for the enhancement and betterment of human beings. And that is why this project to build a rehabilitation home for deportees and for returnee prisoners.
It has been a long journey to get to this moment of actualization. The vision for the halfway home and the attempts to turn vision to reality have not been without disappointment and dashed hopes.
The JDPC is in the line or in the course of producing and building and constructing a rehabilitation and a vocational center. Now, this vocational center, you may want to know, has always been in the mind of the JDPC from the time of our beloved Cardinal, the Archbishop Emeritus of the Archdiocese of Lagos, His Eminence Cardinal Anthony Okogie, when this vision was birthed. But along the line, some things had to stall for funding issues and a few other logistical reasons.
This home is to provide succor and a place where they can find their feet before they are reintegrated into society. The rehab home is to also provide skills. they will be able to acquire skills that will be useful to them in life.
There is hope for everyone regardless of their circumstances. It is true that the seed for societal decay is sown by human hands, sometimes wittingly, other times unwittingly. But it is also a fact that the society has within itself the power to self-regulate and the ability to redeem itself. So it is so with those who find themselves at the bottom of the ladder, such as ex-convicts or inmates, as well as victims of sexual abuse, exploitation, and trafficking. After all, if Mary Magdalene and the thief on the cross could find last-minute redemption, who then can be immune from God's mercy if they open up their hearts?
We know full well that there are a lot of persons who, for want of maybe man's inhumanity to man, have found themselves in very underprivileged and disadvantaged positions in the society. We have a lot of destitutes. We have our friends, our brothers and our sisters from the correctional facilities who have been set free, and sometimes they find nowhere to go. They find nothing to do. We also get to read in the news every now and again the migration processes that take place in the country and how certain of our brothers and sisters are being repatriated and brought back to the country from the Middle East, from Libya, parts of Africa, and of course from Europe. Now, sometimes these persons come back and they are lost at sea, not knowing exactly what they should do. Now, this rehabilitation center is a stopgap where we bring these persons together and train them and let them know that all life is not lost. There is hope for a better Nigeria, and they can make good use of this center to further benefit themselves. It is a center that in its conception had the mind or the thought of bridging the gap between the correctional facilities and the center, putting it simply, from prison to society.
JDPC's Half Home is set up to do one part of what a custodian center is supposed to do, and that is the reformation of the dejected and abandoned after society has imposed its legal punishment on them. This reformation must be followed by reintegration back into the society, and it also applies to victims of human trafficking for sexual purposes.
These young people will not be like gunpowder that we are sitting upon and that will explode and cause much more confusion in the nation.
My word of encouragement to you to be one, to not to lose focus, to be determined on what they want to do with their lives, and not to be used by any person for their selfish interests at the detriment of their future and their life.
Unfortunately, the nature and character of the country's socio-political system seem to make these achievements of this noble objective almost impossible.
In the past 6 months, my organization, for example, has released over 50 people in different correctional centers in Lagos State alone. And once they are out, we take them on and we get their stories recorded. And part of our questions to each of them is, how adequate are the facilities where you stayed? Some of them stayed 2 months, but some stayed more than 5 years. We've had situations in the past 8 to 10 months where we released someone who stayed about 8 years without trial, and then someone who the court gave order for his release in 2021 but was now released in 2023. So he stayed extra 2 years and 1 month. In all of these instances, we ask them, how adequate is accommodation, feeding, Medicare, recreation? These are the things that should be basic. They are not yet reformatory in nature. When you talk of reforms, you are now talking of something beyond the ordinary.
The increasing importance of non-governmental organizations to the overall running of the society cannot be overemphasized. Serious governments, especially in growing democracies, increasingly welcome their interventions in the various thematic areas of their engagements.
It takes a person who came in there with a sound mind. It takes that person from soundness of mind to something else. Many of them get out from there not happy, having revenge at the center of at the core of their soul.
From governance issues, healthcare, social welfare initiatives, the criminal justice system, human trafficking, etc. They have continued to complement the activities of governments over the years. The present rehabilitation home of the JDPC is one of such efforts.
The 10th of May too is a day we are setting aside to raise funds, to complement and to further carry out the task, our primary responsibility of spreading the gospel of God's grace to the nations, to the world, to the ends of the earth, especially within the confines of Lagos State.
A place of shelter, a place to rest, a place to be human beings again. And that is why we are calling on all and sundry to join us, to help us to be able to build this very laudable initiative.
The JDPC wants to set a precedent that it hopes others, such as governments, corporate institutions, and philanthropists, would emulate. The body wants to send a message to the rejected and dejected in the society. We have your back. Do not despair. That message is the halfway home. But this can only happen when similar charity-minded individuals and entities identify with this objective to turn a long-nurtured dream to reality.
My name is Yetunde Adeyemo. I'm the founder and creative director of TOS Africa. Quality is one thing that you don't just come across anywhere, and that's one of our selling points. Our quality, we pride ourselves in quality bags. When I say quality, mark on quality, because quality is not beans. So quality, we pride ourselves in making bags that stand the test of time, bags that you can pass down generations, because we use leather, pure leather. So, and then our designs are, timeless, they are elegant, they are simple, quite all right, but they have that edgy feel to it. So that's one of the things that TOS Africa stands for. Stand for quality, we stand for elegance, we stand for, even though simplicity but edgy, we also stand for that. So I and my friend, one day, we found ourselves outside Nigeria, and so we hooked up somewhere in the mall. So we're just doing shopping, we go window plus shopping for leisure. And so one thing jumped at me. We were entering shops from one to the other, and then, the store attendants, they pride themselves in telling us where they are made from. And they would say, this one is made from Europe, this one is made from Asia, this one is made from China. So they would tell us this is made from here. It's just so that they tell us where they are made from and to tell us the, what I would say, the quality, right? And I just said to my friend, wait a second, what is happening here? Isn't there anything made from Africa? At least they could say that we are, people of color. Can't we just say, I just said it, when you just say something out of the blue. And I said, I've always been drawn to bags and shoes. But then I was like, so where are things that are made from Africa? I said, no, sorry, madam, there's nothing made from Africa. I said, oh my goodness, what's happening here? Who is representing us in the international market? And then you are back home, you realize that people are actually buying things that are made from the same Europe. They are not selling our things outside. We are not selling them even locally. So I decided to change the narrative. I said, you know what? Let's represent ourselves. Let us put ourselves out there. We can do this. And when we have to start doing it. So that was how the journey started. I started by researching on what we have on the ground. I mean, what's our leather industry, what the capacity that we have, and what people are doing. Of course, there are people that started this bag thing before me, right? So I reached out to a couple of them. I asked them questions, what the industry is like, what are your challenges, how I can make impact, right? A difference in the industry, that it doesn't make sense if people are already there. What are the challenges? So I started by getting trained, right? I got trained in the leather handbags making, leather. I found someone that can train me. He's an elderly man. He's into this for like 20 years. So I got trained for like a year with him. So he was the one that taught me, pattern, how to leather bag constructions, identifying leathers, because identifying leather is something also, because a lot of people don't know the difference. They just know leather is leather and leather is not leather. So he taught me that, identifying leather, and also do a lot of self-study. Like every other entrepreneurs, you have to self-study. There is nothing like you have known it too much, or there is nothing like, oh, I have enough experience. So I did a lot of self-study as well. I have to train myself, study, read up, look through every videos I can find on YouTube that said anything about leather and bag making. So that was how I started. So when I feel like, okay, I have enough information and experience to launch, so I launched TOS. Yeah, 2016 was the first bag I made. I made it myself, it was a purse. I made it myself. Don't ask me how that went. It was a very, simple purse, but I was proud of it, right? I was proud of the fact that, yes, it was something I've been thinking of, because that was 2012, was the first time I said we went to the store. And fast forward 2016, 4 years. So I was proud to say, okay, yes, I've gotten started. And I know that time that it can only get better from there. So leathers are in different categories, right? So we have leathers that are made from synthetic, and we also leather that are made from animal skin. So we use leather that are made from animal skin are considered premium, right? Because they are byproducts of the meat industry. So we made our bags from leather made from animal skin, because they are byproduct of meat industry. So that's what we use to make our pomo, right? So some goes into pomo, and also some goes into making leather, because it's durable, and that's one very important advantage of using animal skin. It's breathable, it's durable, and it's been resistant for. Leather is one of the first things that was clothed. Human beings clothed themselves in, if I may say so. And so leather has been from the 16th, 15th century. So leather is what we use to make our bags and our accessories. After the first one, of course, I showed it to family and friends. Look what I made. What did you think? I got feedback, right? And then, so one thing to the other, so when I put the team together, I started from my house, actually, like a small space in my house, a team of myself and one other person. We worked on a few pieces, like 1, 2, 3 bags. Right? So I started by selling one. I remember the first person that bought one from me was a friend of mine. I actually bought it for his girlfriend, I remember that time. And I was super excited, because that was the first sale. So that gave me courage. And then a friend of mine from university bought one from me. And then that was how we got started. And yeah, one bag in 1-2 months. And then we improved to 2, to 3, and then to 4. And then here we are today. The first challenge I faced actually was the skill set. So I started TOS Afrique because I had like a goal in mind. My goal is to made bags that industry standard, not local standard, international standard. So when you have that kind of goal, you know, it comes to big, huge responsibility and task. So the first challenge I had was people that would buy into that idea, right, with me and say, okay, you know what, yes, this is your idea, this is your dream, then we can do it. So when I started, I realized that, oh, yeah, some people who have started, people I met that are importing, they've already started, but how were they doing it? I couldn't figure it out on time. So one of the things, like I said, put a team together, okay. So when you get your staff, you have to sell the idea to them. There are so many people that are making bags, but they are selling to, you understand? But you have a target that you want to sell, you want a particular standard. So I have to keep bringing into their ears. This is not only for Nigeria. We are putting ourselves, we want to represent, we want Nigeria to be represented abroad. So the standard was pretty high. So that was one of the challenges. And the skill set for that kind of standard was something that was missing, right? Because they say, oh, they can do it. That's what I realized. They can actually do it. But because there was really, the demand was not so much in that space. So a lot of them, they were fine at a particular level. But you have taken them back to, you know, like, this is the standard. So it became a challenge because it takes more time to get something of good quality, actually. It takes time. And that time is a lot of things that people in that industry don't joke with because they want to do it, they want to get it done, and then move to the next one, which is not going to happen. It's what I had in mind. So skill set is one of the challenges, if I may answer the question. Skill set, artisans that would do the right thing, what you want, exactly how you wanted it, is one of the challenges that we have. Another challenge that we have in this industry is actually electricity is one of the challenges, power supply. You have power today, you have, you know, so it's one of the challenges that we have. Because production, you can, if you keep stopping your production, when you have target, it's going to affect your business at the end of the day. That's one. And access to good quality leather is one of the challenges that we have. It's a challenge because you have to know what you want, because recognizing good quality leather is actually a skill. If you don't recognize good quality, then your end products, you've missed it, right? All leathers are not born equal, like I used to tell my friends, some of my customers. So you have to also know this quality of leather that can work for my, you know, kind of bag. So those three challenges, I think I'll raise them at the first three. And of course, you have some other challenges like local acceptability in the local market. I realized that Nigerians, we are one, if not one of the most sensitive, high fashion taste people. So when people see good quality product, they know it, right? They can say, oh, this is it. So when I start showing them the product, say, are you sure this is made in Nigeria? All they needed to hear is that, give them that quality assurance. I say, yes, we give you quality, this is assurance. Once you give them that assurance, and they can see it, they can see no thread hanging somewhere, no gum, you know, they can feel it, they can touch it, they can feel it. So you're already like 60% there. And then the fact that it's made locally, we pride ourselves in making locally, and so they buy into that. It's quality, it's good product, you gave me assurance, and it's made locally. I mean, of course, it's still a journey, right? I wouldn't say, oh, we are there, we have all the markets, no. But what I've seen, I mean, people are warming up to it. I have some of my customers, right? They'll say, oh, Tos, when I travel abroad, I don't bother to buy any bags abroad. That's out of my shopping list. I know I can get something here locally. So that gives us hope with our manufacturers here. It gives us hope that people are, those are the customers that goes abroad during their summertime and shops abroad. They don't do it anymore because we gave them that assurance. And year after year, they realize that, oh, quality is there. I have had some of my customers that bought our first set of bags 2006, 2017, and they are still using it now. And another thing that I think I like, that I have to mention, is after-sale service. You don't get that mostly with international brand. After-sale service is something that is missing. So anything can happen. They come back to us. They say, oh, something I just like. So that accessibility is there. That is a local brand. and you can get after sales service. It's something, it's the USP that a lot of local brands, they are enjoying with us. Because before you ship your bag, if you get it abroad, they even listen to you by the time you brought it here. Before you ship it abroad and get whatever it is that you think is wrong with it fixed, before they ship it back to you, you probably will even pay for shipping, right? Which might even be like the cost of the bag itself. So buying local is something that I think a lot of Nigerians are warming up to. They like it. Of course, we are still there. We are still putting the word out there. We are still telling them. People that are not on board yet, we are still, like getting them to buy into it. But people are really warming up to it, and I'm proud to say that. So social media has been of help, and I also say there is a Lagos Leather Fair that I'm proud to be part of the exhibitors. So people come from everywhere. We attend exhibitions as well, been to 1 or 2 exhibitions, social media, words of mouth, and we are here in one of the biggest store in Lagos. So I feel like we've done a little bit of job to get the word out there. It's still a work, it doesn't stop. We keep pushing, but we are not where we were 3, 4, 5 years ago, right? So it's a work in progress. We keep pushing, we keep getting the word out. But social media has been a web, Instagram, Facebook, our own website, Leather Fair, being in a good location also. From online, we're online, basically online, and then the store came in, right? It was a growth that took us this 2017, 18, right? Precisely, we came to the mall, 2018. So it wasn't a day like we started from the mall. No, I started from my house, like I said, and then team, and then we're online, selling through Instagram, selling through all our social media channels and referrals. And then when the time was, customers will ask you, we want a place that we can come to, right? I want to bring my friend to see your bags. I want a place that can come in and pick some of the things. So we partner with this Bikabani, and we are here. So it's one of the growth I think we've enjoyed. Leather Fair is one of the growth, a very significant growth for us as well. Because when people come to Leather Fair, it gives us that credibility that, okay, they are part of, like a body, Lagos Leather Fair. We've been there for like 3 years in a row now. So those are and we've done exhibition, like I said, we've done exhibitions. Of course, we are looking forward to international exhibitions. We will have been, no thanks to COVID, we'll have attended some during that 2020, but we put that on hold. And then this year, we're going to restart that. Quality is really, really, really a challenge in this industry. And you know that when you're making a leather product, once you stitch, that's it. Once you have a hole, it's not like clothes that you can say, oh, I made a mistake, let me open up, and then, Once you put your needle on a leather and there's a hole, that's it. That leather is gone. Leathers are not cheap. So quality is the problem, and then if you are not now careful about that, so you can easily lose a lot of money if your quality control is not good. So quality control is one thing. So that skill set to get that quality. Leather artisans are, they don't just get good like that. So a lot of leather artisans, they have like 15, 20 years experience. So I personally make sure that any artisans that will work with us are free. You have that experience. And we don't have that experience yet, we don't push you to a particular place. You have to start and then learn that quality, because by the time you are there, you can move to a particular level and say, okay, you are fine. So we get experienced artisans. That is one thing that I think we've been doing in this industry. I personally have been doing with the business. You have to be somewhere. Like there's a place you have to be before I can say, okay, come in. It's with the team. So if you are not there, if the person is really, really ambitious, yes, you can take you in, but you will not be at a particular level. You will not be finishing. You know what I mean? You will not be a finisher. You will not be like, maybe you start with applying or something where your skill set can, right? And then when we see that you have really moved, then we can now put you to a place that we say, okay, we are comfortable with it. But so standard and that quality is a challenge. To get quality product out, it's not so easy. government regulations, I mean, basically, leather industry, I mean, to the best of my knowledge, I stand to be corrected. I'm not so sure it's heavily regulated, right? But having said that, I know that government is also doing some things in. So our leather, industry in Nigeria is actually very funny because we have leather quite all right in Nigeria, but a lot of it we produce, we manufacture, but we manufacture to a stage, then we export to Europe, finished, and then we import. That's the leather industry. So I think that government hasn't really done a lot of, I mean, too much regulation in that space. And so, of course, that's why we have local brands. By the time we have so many local brands here, manufacturing here and exporting, and then we can say, okay, tanneries will start springing up that can do finished leather products. Because that is where we think, I mean, where we are aiming at. God willing, I see us really playing big in international market. I mean, I'm currently undergoing a training right now, and so the lady, my coach, said to me, you know what, this brand would do so well internationally. I said, I know. So I see us play big internationally. Having said that, I also feel like we need to penetrate the local market more. So I also see us maybe having stockists, having distributor in places, the major cities across Nigeria, and then also doing a lot of social media awareness, a lot of more exhibition. So 5 years time, I think that by now I should be counting more than my fingers where we have been, where Toss Africa have been internationally. Like I should be running out of the list. So we currently do slides, but making shoe is one thing that I think we would like to do. We currently don't have the capacity to do that, right? But I think I can say we've perfected bag making. So in the next 3 years, we're going to see what we can do in the shoe industry. And see, one thing I don't joke with, like I said, is quality. So I wouldn't want to churn out a product or products that people will say, oh, Toss Africa shoes gave way when I was working. So we want to perfect that. So shoe, yes, we still want to do shoe, but it will come at the right time when we're ready for it.
I'm Mr. Ike. I process Gary. I'm into Gary production. And that is what I do for a living. No amount of Gary you take to the market that you won't sell, because it's a food where the rich and the poor eat. I was doing this business with someone else before, and when I went back to school to further my education, things were not moving fine and I have to return back. Then that was when I now stood on my own to get the business being done. So for like 10 years now, I've been in the business. NNPC, I worked with them before. I did some work for them as a trainer. Yeah, I trained most of their staffs, their workers, and I give them some health talk, and I place them on health, the area where things you eat, what to eat, and when to eat them. Gary business is a business that it's like crude oil business. It's a business where from cassava himself, from the cassava peel, the cassava starch, the water of the starch, everything about cassava is productive. Everything about cassava. We can get animal meal from cassava. We can get starch from cassava. We can get chemical from cassava. We can as well get food from cassava. We can as well get manure from cassava. Now, if older youth can work the way I'm doing now, I believe in the next few years to come, we'll be looking at the oil sector or the government, we won't be looking at those areas. We'll look straight on Gary business, because Gary business can give us what we want. My experience and my challenge in this business, in this work, is a work where you need to get hands to join you. You can't do it alone. And getting people to join you, you need fund, you need money to to make people work because you got to pay them. And the challenge we're having in it is when most times the farmer comes to sell for you, and because you don't have the money to pay them, they move away. And at the same time again, the people who work for you, just because you don't have money to pay them for the ones they did for you, you won't see them again. So those are the challenges we have been having. And when you finish your production, taking it to the market again is a big problem. They will start pricing it low, that what you spend in it, you can't achieve it. So that has been the challenge we're having in the business. Before we start the gari processing, we go to the farm, we'll see the cassava, then we'll check if it is one being farmed for 1 year plus or 2 years. So if it is one being farmed for 2 years, you spend more to get that kind of cassava because the cassava himself is already mature to give you good gari. Then in the course of that, we engage the farmers to uproot it. Then we load it in a vehicle, in a van, that is pickup, to bring it down to the factory. And in that period, we engage some boys to do the work, which we pay them. Then when we get to the factory, we engage the women to peel the cassava. After peeling, they wash the cassava and we grind it to turn it to cassava mash. And this period, we pay them again to do this process for us. Then after that, we go into drying, where we press out the water out. And some of these women, they do this work and we pay them again. Then from the pressing, we go to frying. Then from frying, then we'll take it to the market. No amount of gari you take to the market that you won't sell, because it's a food where the rich and the poor eat. You understand? But the challenge we are having is moving them to where the consumers are. Because the consumers are the ones that will tell you how good and how well the gari is. Now, most times, the people who move it to us, they charge us much that when we get to the market, the consumers cannot buy. Because we got to add what we spend moving it to the market. In the area of peeling, in a pickup load, we use as minimum of 40 persons to produce one pickup of cassava, that is peeling. Then in the course of frying, in that the same pickup we use 40 persons, we use no less than 6 to 7 persons to the frying. Yes. What led to this was, one, the people who produce the cassava. As I said earlier on, we use workers 40 to peel and we use like 7 to fry. But because of the expenses involved in it, we dropped to 20 persons to peel the pickup of cassava, and we use like 3 or 4 to do the frying. And because we drop our workers, we're unable to produce large scale. So, and that started affecting the market, because by the time you run all these expenses on the cassava and you take it to the market to sell, if you're unable to make your money, you won't be able to return back to the market again. So that was the challenge we are having. And in those days, in then, 90, 20, 2000, the market were a bit normal, because as soon as you finish your products, the customers are already on ground to buy. But these days now, because of low quality and the challenges of financial support, we're unable to beat the market. The government had to eat, because most times we don't have much land. First of all, let me use that word, the land to farm. We don't have lands to farm, which is one. And secondly, the support we need from the government in terms of fertilizer, man support, to get this work being done are not on ground again. So it has really affected the business. The way government is going now concerning agriculture in Nigeria, if the government can still maintain this standard or do more, I believe we will go around in the world. And the economic will boost, because the government has already supported the business. So we will go around. In Ghana, I once had a communication with some guys in Ghana that process gari. The way they process gari in Ghana and the way we process gari here are not the same. We still, in Nigeria here, I would say 90% of us still produce in local way. using the clay, the sand to mold the oven and a small pot. But other countries, they use industrial fryer, which can take half pickup of cassava in a section. So in less than 4 to 5 hours, we should be able to produce not less than 2 pickup of cassava. So if government can assist us to go for the industrial grinding machine, industrial extractor, industrial fryer, I believe we will do better. And that is why, as you can see from the previous videos and the shots we took, you can see the women frying with a small pot on top of a clay sand and some firewood under. So in that way, we'll be able to cover the markets in town. First of all, if government can assist us on this, I believe job will be all round, because one, by the time we the producers produce, the graduate or people outside lack of job can come and move it from us and take it to other country, and in that way they'll be able to make something from themselves. And we have different kind of gari. We have the yellow gari, we have the Ijebu gari, we have the white gari. Now the yellow gari is the one we do with oil and all that. So if government can assist us in that way, I believe there will be job in the country. In cassava I still do animal meal. I process animal meal, which I have them on ground. I process, like from the animals I want to mention, pig, goats, cow, chicken, fish, I process their meal. Then I process starch from cassava production, and at the same time again, we still process chemical used to kill grass from the water. That is at the side. Then at the same time again, I'm a dietitian. I do things of health. Those who are on obesity, I work them out. I give them healthy food to eat. And there are people that want to share the weight, that want to keep fit, I engage them in one workout or the other. Then those on disabled, on which people who cannot walk, people who have some physical challenge, not from birth, I bring them out from it.
Where's my phone?
of cassava after the grinding.
Sit down, do it properly here.
No one will finish. Now who's that you come back now? You get one last month. I hope so this way. But you can't give me one number. Because I lost your number. You can't give me one number. What they call the number? So they call the number. Now I'm giving the card. Because I will thank God. Government is still small. The government say we know they too carry. But we see. Who want what? You are getting more than 3 well. Only at the fine.
Which money why you don't gather? And this one NNPC staff with you. NNPC staff.
When you're picking, I won't marry. Mama, well done, eh?
That boy.
I will give you this huge state. Sir?
You know, when they don't see you wear suit, they will come to say, you know, no cassava. No man do this ready for town where they look poor boy. You come.
No, I better know the green. All vice versa.
So now two sides it is.
Now two sides it is. They know the green.
You see now, you know what you make a marry. Let's say, nice one. You see, that's all. So now just yeah. Mama, this. Yo,